This is a new document in Adobe Illustrator. What I'm going to do now, especially for our classroom assignment number 1, the pen tool exercises, I'm going to place my image and create a template layer. Let's get started. You might notice off to the right hand side, this is my layers panel. And I know that because my layer 1 is highlighted. You can also access your layers panel by going to Window and simply finding Layers after Info and right before Links. Let's place our image for this assignment. I'm going to go up to File and then down to Place. I'm going to find where my image is located, and once you find it, you select it and press on Place. You might notice, very much like my image, it is way too big and it does not fit on the artboard. You can resize this very easily by going to our selection tool, which is the first tool on the Adobe Illustrator toolbar. If you like keyboard shortcuts, you can also hit the letter V on the keyboard and you now have your black arrow, your selection tool. Holding down the Shift key, I'm going to click and drag from the corner where I get a double-headed arrow going diagonally. So I'm going to click and drag to make it a little bit smaller. As I move around the artboard in my station in Adobe Illustrator, you might notice that the image is still too big. I'm going to go to the right hand side, get my double-headed arrow, that's diagonal, hold down the Shift key, click and drag with my trackpad or with my mouse until it goes in a little bit more. Now it is down towards the bottom of my artboard. I need to reposition this, so I'm going to go to the middle where the two lines come together at a cross. You might notice that my arrow has lost its tail, and that's okay. That means that I can simply click and drag my image upward into the area of the artboard. I'm going to click and drag it again upward. You might notice that there are some green lines and green words that appear. In Adobe Illustrator and other Adobe softwares, this is called Smart Guides. Smart Guides are meant to help you in placing different pieces of your graphic design or illustration. They can be very helpful in determining the middle, the center, and also aligning different pieces and parts. I'm going to click and drag this down a little bit more. I understand if your image does not fit the entire size of the letter, the 8.5 by 11 size of the artboard, and that is completely fine. I'm okay with that as long as it fits the majority of the space. Once I fit my image onto my artboard, I need to embed it. The reason why is because if you don't embed your file, when it comes time to print, or rather it comes time to look at this on another computer, it will appear as your image has disappeared. For our purposes today with the template layer, that's not as big of a deal, but you should get into the habit of embedding your place files just in the event that you may work at another computer and you don't want that disappearing on you. So up at the top here, it's going to say Embed. Click on Embed, and you'll notice that that cross in the middle goes away. We are now ready to make a template layer. If you move over to your Layers panel, where it says Layer 1, I want to retitle my layer, and it's good to get into the habit of titling different layers so that way you know what piece or part of your graphic design or illustration you're working on. To retitle my layer, I'm going to simply double click on layer 1. Layer options comes up. I can retitle my name. So I'm going to title this template layer. The color represents what color when you put your mouse over this layer is going to show. In this case, I'm selecting light blue. This is the really easy part. To make a template layer into where it doesn't move and you can easily vector and or trace over your image, you're going to simply check off template. You might notice that some of these have gone dim, and that's fine. Where it says dim images to 50%, if I look at my exercise that I have put onto my artboard, I don't want it to dim. The reason why is because lighter parts might be much harder to read or see. So I actually want this on 100%. So I'm going to uncheck dim images, and then I will click OK. You might notice that my cursor at this point is now a pencil with a line through it. The reason why is because it has locked the layer. Anytime you see a little lock next to the icon, so for a template layer, instead of an eyeball, it shows up as a group of shapes. That just happens to be the icon for template layer. It is locked. So I cannot perform any function on top. I can't use any of these tools on the toolbar whenever a layer is locked. This is exactly what we want. Because for classwork assignment number 1 and for next assignments within this course, you're actually going to be working on top of your template layer. It is a type of digital tracing. From here, we're going to create a new layer. At the bottom of your layers panel, you'll see that there's a little trash can, but next to it, it looks like a piece of paper that's about to be flipped upward. If you mouse over it long enough, it will say create new layer. That's exactly what you want. I'm going to create new layer, and you'll notice that layer 2 has come up. Again, I'm going to retitle layer number 2. I'm going to title it as my vector trace. I do not want to make this into a template layer because this is my actual assignment. I want this to be seen for my graphic design. So I'm going to disregard the template box. I want it to show, I want it to preview, I want it to print. I do not want to dim my image to 50%, so I'm going to click OK. In the next tutorial, we will talk about using the pen tool and zooming in and out, also filling, what the difference between fill and stroke is in regards to the pen tool.